Hey, what's going on everybody? Commander Crane here, and we are back with another Pioneer deck tech, and today we're going to be talking about Izzet, Cyclops, Fling. This is my 6th deck, I believe, featuring new cards from the brand new set Magic Foundations, and I'm really excited to talk about this list. Now, I'll be honest with you, this is a list that I've been kind of tooling with for a little while now, and we got a new card from Foundations, which makes this deck even more consistent. So I'm super happy that I decided to wait to talk about this list. But as always, at the end of the video, let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about the list? Is there a specific card that I should have put in this deck that I did not? Or do you have suggestions for upcoming videos? Just let me know in the comments section. So let's go and hop right in here. What random Foundations card did we get that makes this deck better? Well, it's funny enough, another copy of Nivik Cyclops, essentially. It's Crackling Cyclops, a new common that's, no one's really talking about, which it's understandable. It's just a random common that most people don't really look into that much, but it's a 0/4 for 3 Cyclops Wizard. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +3/+0 until end of turn. So overall, it's really close to Nivik Cyclops. There's definitely pros and cons. It's non-creature compared to instant sorcery, but Nivik Cyclops gets the extra power, but Crackling Cyclops can attack before you cast a non-creature. So overall, there's pros and cons to both, but essentially, we're playing Nivik Cyclops and Crackling Cyclops in this deck. So obviously we've got the fling part of it. So obviously we are trying to fling our Cyclops with Burn Together / Callous Cell Sword. Obviously the point of it is target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to any other target, then sacrifice it. We're playing this over a card like Thud or Fling, because the thing is with Thud and Fling is you have to sack it as part of the cost, so you don't get the additional, the +3/+0 from the Callous Cell Sword. Well, that you would like the Callous Cell Sword, so that's why we're playing that. But obviously, other than the Cyclops, what other cards are we playing to help set this up? We're playing 4 copies of Slickshot Show Off, just because it's, relatively similar to the Cyclops. It gets buffed as you cast some non-creatures. And then we're also playing Storm Chaser's Talent. So I was originally playing a little bit of a Wizard Shell, like I was playing, oh, I'm forgetting the name of it all of a sudden, which is crazy. It's the 1/2 with Prowess and then Soulscar Mage. There we go. But then I decided I wanted to play Storm Chaser's Talent instead, because it does make it odder with Prowess. But the biggest thing is this is an enchantment, so it counts for Slickshot Show Off, and then obviously, it counts for the other Cyclops here. So that's why I'm playing Storm Chaser's Talent. So these are the cards that we want to set up with. We have the Cyclops, we have Show Off, and then we have Storm Chaser's Talent. And then we're going to be flinging them at our opponent. Hopefully, we're going to cast a whole bunch of non-creature spells and just fling it at our opponent. So what non-creatures are we playing to really help, bring this deck home? So we're obviously playing 4 copies of Opt, 4 copies of Consider, and 4 copies of Treasure Cruise. Honestly, overall, pretty similar to the Izzet Phoenix deck. And that's going to reign true on this next slide, too, because we're also playing 4 copies of Fiery Impulse to Torch the Tower as our main ways to just start generating some instant and sorceries. Obviously, there's a lot of fast aggro decks in the metagame right now, a lot of elves, so that's why we're playing the Fiery Impulse and Torch the Tower. But the biggest spice in this deck that I really like is 2 copies of Crash Through. So I thought about playing just another like Fling effect, but I ended up going with Crash Through because it is a cantrip, but with the Cyclops, we cast a couple instant or sorceries, and then boom, we crash through, and then all of a sudden our Cyclops also have Trample, which is really cool. So we're playing 2 copies of Crash Through in the deck, and overall, this deck is just super spicy. I'm a huge fan of this deck. So let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the deck here. We're hopping right into the lands. Our land base is going to be a pretty straightforward mana base. 4 copies of Spiral Canal, 4 Steam Vents, and 3 Shivan Reefs are our main dual lands. We're also playing 4 Riverglide Pathway, 1 Otawara, and 1 Sukenzen as some of our utility lands. And then rounding out our lands, we are playing 1 Hall of Storm Giants, 1 Island, and 1 Mountain. So overall, it's a pretty standard, blue-red mana base. And as our spicy basic land of the day, I had to feature the extended arts from Foundations. Overall, really big fan of them. Obviously, we got the Kamigawa-themed one there on the left. And then on the right, we have the Thunder Junction 1 theme on the right. So overall, big fan of these extended arts, and I'm hoping to definitely be opening a whole bunch of these in some packs in the very near future. So that's the entire main board. Let's go ahead and talk about our sideboard as well as some budget options for this deck. So sideboarding is going to be really simple. Counter spells. We're going to be wanting some counter spells in the sideboard. A lot of it depends on what your local metagame looks like, but you could play cards like Negate. You could play, some different, you know, like Essence Scatter type effects. It really just kind of depends on what you'd like to play. I always like Disdainful Strokes. You could even play a card like 3 Steps Ahead. I would personally recommend something like Make Disappear, though. You want a little bit, you know, cost-effective counter spells. You could also play some Aether Gust or even some Flash Freezes if there's a lot of red and green decks in your metagame. Overall, it just kind of depends on what's going on in your local meta. Protection spells. So I thought about playing just a whole bunch of Spell Pierces to help with the removal, but I wanted to play an actual protection spell because sometimes Spell Pierce doesn't help cover that. So I'm playing 4 copies of Shore Up in the sideboard. It gives a creature +1/+2 until end of turn and then untaps it. I'm playing a full 4 copies in the board. Pyroclasm. There's a whole bunch of go wide fast aggro decks going around in the metagame right now, and Pyroclasm definitely helps clean up all those creatures. And what's nice is if we have a Cyclops in play with Pyroclasm, our creatures get to live, which is also really good. And then I'm also playing a few copies of Young Pyromancer, just because there's going to be some decks that are going to be, you know, like mono black Doomblades, where they're going to have nothing but removal for us. So I wanted to have a backup plan instead of just, you know, trying to play like a couple 1-drops all in one turn and then like Treasure Cruise and just attack. So that's why I'm playing a few copies of Young Pyromancer. I also do have a Gigantha as our companion, just because I was building the deck and realized, hey, we can play Gigantha in the sideboard. So I didn't include that on here, but we are playing Gigantha in the sideboard. And then the last thing we have to talk about is the budget options, which is really simple for this deck. The budget dual lands, obviously go ahead and cut the Steam Vents and such, the Otawara, the lands that are a little expensive, and then also swap out Slick Shot Show Off, just because the card is relatively pricey, especially if you're trying to stay on a budget. So the current list as it's constructed right now, including all the dual lands, the Otawara, and everything, is $200 US, which is really, really cheap for a Pioneer deck. But I was able to get the budget list down to $48 US, which all I did was pretty much cut the Slick Shot Show Off, and then I cut some of the pricier, expensive, the dual lands, and then some of the utility lands, and that's all I did. The core of the deck is still the same. We have the 8 Cyclops, we're trying to fling it, we're playing the Storm Chaser's Talent, we're playing Treasure Cruise, Opt, Consider. Everything is still the exact same in the core, which that's kind of just how Pioneer goes. Other than a couple expensive like dual and utility lands and maybe like 1 card in your deck, Pioneer's a super duper cheap format to play, and this deck is no exception to that. So if you really like Izzet decks, or if you like Nivik Cyclops for back in the day, you will definitely like playing this super spicy Fling Izzet Cyclops list. So overall, I really like this deck, and I definitely will be playing this up at my FNM very, very soon. And let me know in the comment section below if you have a list similar, or if you do end up building this deck. So that takes us to the end of the video here. Thanks so much for watching. The deck lists are in the description below if you'd like to check them out for yourself. Huge shout out to our channel members, Ralph, Matt, Arcadius, Ray, Gary, Serwanoki, and Night Red 3. If you are interested in being a channel member, it's only $1 US a month. You get access to the exclusive Commander Crane Discord, as well as other features here on the channel. And we are on our road to 1,000 subs, and we are getting very, very close currently. So if you are not subscribed, I would definitely consider hitting that subscribe button, and it's not a pun since we're playing Consider in the deck, but we're trying to get to 1,000 subs, and your subscription is very, very appreciated. So I'm Commander Crane. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope to catch you in the next one.